Hey gang, Joyce with Skip and Cass Farms here. Spring is finally beginning to get sprung. I'm standing here just outside my camper. And this is the wine sap apple tree that I've had for a number of years and never really gotten a decent crop from it because of a number of things. Number one, the 5 different winters that we have here in Tennessee. It seems like every year the blooms would get hit on this tree with one of the winters, and it wouldn't set fruit. And I was told when I bought these 2 trees, this is a wine sap, and this is a Macintosh, and you can see the growth on the wine sap, but you can see that the Macintosh is just now coming out to bud. So there's a couple of weeks difference, I think, is about what it is. 2 or 3 weeks difference in the growth on these 2 trees. I was told these 2 trees would efficiently and effectively cross-pollinate. Well, they may do that, but that time frame between the 2 means that sometimes it seems like what happened a lot more often when they first went in the ground was this tree would lose its crop when it went to bloom. Then about 3 weeks later, the Macintosh would go to bloom. And those blooms would be okay, but a week after that, we'd have our next winter, and it would kill all the fruit. So I've gotten a couple of good crops off of the Macintosh. Last year, I just had a really tough time with both of my apple trees and both of my peaches. We had such a wet spring and then such a harsh, dry winter. Everything, I don't know if you can see, this is what I'm trying to shoot and I can't see it on the screen. There it is. That black mummy is what is left of an apple on the tree from a year ago. Everything just rotted on the tree. Now we've got these Japanese beetles that everybody's calling a Japanese ladybug. Well, they're not a ladybug. Ladybugs eat aphids. These things will bite you, and they also eat vegetation. I don't know if they're biting you thinking you're vegetation or what, but they have come in and taken over. Almost makes you wonder if they came from a balloon that flew across the country a few years ago. But I digress. Because they sure did show up real fast and furious. But that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to do a fast forward from a rewind to do a follow-up. It's been, I guess, about 3 weeks, a month, when I came out, and it was still winter looking outside. And I did a foliar spray of copper sulfate on these 4 trees. And there was no foliage on any of them. They were winter. Why would you do a foliar spray in the wintertime? Because these trees were under attack. There was a fungus among us, as you might say. And in that video, I kind of showed you. This is a patch of white, somebody might call them a lichen. A lichen is a type of fungus, right? And they were on so tight that you could not get it loose. I mean, it was glued to the tree, and I'm just lightly flaking, and you can see that even just lightly just scratching my finger like I'd scratch an itch. Look, that fungus is dying. That is so cool. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? And the same is true in a number of spots. But I wanted to come over here and show you this. Look at this. See, now when this is healthy, it's going to be tight on the tree. This is all buckling up and just coming loose. Look at that. That's dying. That fungus is dying. That fungus is dying. It feels all dry and shriveled. And it's not sticking. It's not sticking like it did to the tree. I'm using less pressure than I would to remove something from a piece of paper or a piece of tape. And it's just coming loose. If I were to get a stiff bristle brush, that'd come right off. That's amazing. See, right down here, it's just dying and coming loose. Look at that. It's just coming right off. Now, it's taken a month plus or minus to get to this point, but that was after, I'm sorry, I'm looking through my mind's eye, not the camera. And that's kind of rude in a way. I don't mean to be. But earlier I came up and see this whole area? I just lightly scratched that whole area and it just came off. It's coming off like flakes. You know it's coming off like flakes of old paint. Look what I got on my finger. That is a proverbial stink bug. Those things are not nice. You know how you deal with a stink bug? You pinch its head off. If you pinch its head off, if you're fast enough, it won't stink you. I can't do that while I'm holding the phone, so I'll just go, fly! And let him go. Let him stink another day. But like, see this branch over here? See how that's all curling up and coming loose? See that? Those were all glued on there tight. Tight. I am so excited. Because these trees have been in the ground for almost 10 years. And I don't think they would have lasted another couple of years. Not the way they were, this stuff was taking over. And there's been twice in the past, I think it's been twice in the past, where I literally came in with a nylon bristle brush and scrubbed the tree with a dilute chlorine bleach solution, and then came behind it with some hydrogen peroxide. And boy, the next year, after I did that on these apple trees, that next year was the best crop I ever had of apples. And so that's exciting. That's just really exciting. So I don't want to belabor this video, but what's my point? My point is I could have saved myself a lot of time, trouble, angst. I could have gotten several more crops out of my apple trees if I had done what? If I'd paid $65 and gotten an Albrecht type soil test done 3 years ago instead of last year, and I didn't. Now, is it anybody's responsibility but mine? No. Did I have legitimate excuses? Well, if you consider any excuse legitimate, I guess getting my knees replaced is as legitimate as they come, but it's still an excuse. I could have done it earlier. And I just really wasn't at a place where my knowledge level and understanding allowed me to justify that expense. You've heard me say it before, and I'll say it again right now. The second most expensive thing you can ever invest in is your education. The single first most expensive thing you can ever invest in is not having the right education. So now notice I say education, not necessarily formal schooling. I've got more than my fair share of both. And so I've started doing some weed eating up here. You can see, let me see if I can zoom that in. You can see how it's a little bit greener up top. You see these lilies that are right here? See how it's greener in the grass here than it is over here? That's because that's been weed eated to get rid of the stems and the broom sedge. You can see all the brown right there. That's all broom sedge, and I've weed eated most of it. There's only a little bit left, and so it looks so much happier. It looks so much happier. I had to look down to move. I apologize. So with that, gang, you know, take your time. You can get so much free education online, but you need to pay attention to who you're talking to. There are enough regenerative people out there, there are enough grazers out there, there are enough growers out there that have walked the walk, talked the talk, and have a track record. Don't do what I did when I first got started. I took advice from a lot of YouTubers that really didn't know what they were doing. They were just kind of, well, they were doing what I'm doing, but without the experience. They were just going, this is what I'm doing. They had not invested thousands of hours like I have on YouTube. They were just flying by the seats of their pants. And I look at some of those videos now and I go, oh my gosh, how naive. So invest. There are a lot of good people out there that provide a lot of good information. You don't have to spend a lot of money. But if you are going to do some grazing, I am going to recommend that you go to a good grazing school. There's a number of them out there. The gentleman I have learned the most about what to do and how to think and how to make it work with nothing is Ian Mitchell-Ennis. And he's from South Africa. He's not coming to the States this year. He's of a certain age and has chosen not to travel this year. But for the last 15 years or so, maybe longer, he's done grazing schools in conjunction with Greg Judy. Now, a lot of people don't like Greg Judy. Some people do. I think Greg Judy has provided a service to America and to the world in terms of the information that he has provided. And he has worked awfully hard for an awfully long time. And he and Jan have been generous and helpful to me in ways that are awesome, as has Ian. And so I don't always agree because our context is different. I have a small place. I'm in Tennessee. He has leased land. He's got more land than he knows what to do with. Now, I don't mean that in a derogatory manner. What I mean is he's got enough grass so it gives him options. I've only got a couple of acres. So if I make a mistake, it can be pretty devastating in terms of what my other options are going to be, right? So what I would encourage you to do is to go out there, listen to a lot of different people, And one of the things, I'll leave you with this. This is important. So, come here. Pay attention. If you listen to 5 people, they're all going to tell you something different. But they're also all going to tell you something the same. They may say the same thing in a different way. They may say the same thing coming from a different angle or in a different context or different perspective. But if they're all saying the same thing, that's the knowledge you take to the bank and deposit. So with that, gang, I will wish you blessings for the day. And whatever you do, just keep chasing the dream. And I am so excited about the success of that copper sulfate foliar spray on a tree that had no foliage. So, with that, gang, taking enough of my time and yours. Till next time.